your daughter walked into the school and looked at those guys like rock stars.
Yes.
Now children do that to your kids. Now on Saturdays, I let the kids train with them. Why? Because they're paying it forward.
Yeah.
Now I want them to work with the little kids the same way Master Chet or Master John worked with Alexa, worked with Mikaela. So now it's the opposite. And these kids, they can't wait. I had a little boy ask me the other day, when do I get to spar with Alexa?
Oh, God.
I was like, I looked at him, I was like, you sure you want that? You sure you want that? Welcome to another episode of A Black Belt Way of Life. I'm your host, Master Joseph Lupo Jr. On today's episode, I have two amazing moms who have been with me. Miss Lisa Solomon, who's been with me 14 going on 15 years when I opened my original school in Whitestone, and Miss Viviana Lezamiz, who's been with me from when I moved to Bayside, one of my first students. So we're going back now 12 years.
12 years. I know how long you've been married.
Oh, that's true.
That's how I know.
There you go. Because all your children were at my wedding in that church. It's amazing how time just flies. Oh my God, I feel old.
Yeah.
Yeah, very old. Now these kids are bigger than me. But so with that said, let's dig into tonight's episode. But first, I'd like to give a shout out to Best Martial Arts Muto USA for being the official apparel and martial arts company of A Black Belt Way of Life. To all my martial arts friends, make sure you check them out. Super high quality stuff, amazing quality in their Taekwondo and martial arts equipment. Also, a word from our sponsor. This episode of A Black Belt Way of Life is brought to you by Mr. Joseph Ferron of Weichert Realty. For all your real estate needs, both commercial and residential, don't hesitate to reach out to Mr. Joseph Ferron. All his information is in the show notes. Ladies, it's been quite a journey, right? Been a beautiful journey seeing your children grow up in my school, literally.
I know, right?
Right? The crazy thing is, I look at your kids and I see my kids in the sense that now my Alessio's 10, Vivi is 6. Mikaela started when she was...
what was it, 2012?
Right.
Oh, she was 4?
Oh my goodness.
She was 4.
Wow. And
Julian was 8.
Julian was 8. And Alexa, for some of you guys don't know, she's probably one of my first students.
Yeah.
I'm talking, if I'm correct, she took my second promotion test ever.
Yes.
Yeah. She started when she was 5. And your son Ryan was was in diapers. Was in diapers.
Diapers.
Oh my God. Wow.
Because he was 1.
Right.
Yeah, they're 4 years apart.
Oh my God. It's amazing. So let's jump right into this, ladies.
Alrighty.
What was your motivation or your reasoning behind enrolling your children into a martial arts school? Why me?
Truth?
And only the truth.
Truth. Okay, so for me, I know yours different because you started with him in Whitestone. But when you were in Bayside, I was in Bayside. So I'm only blocks away from you. And how I got to you was through Laura DiMarcello.
That's right.
Through Dominic Calabro.
Wow.
So that's how the chain went. She was with you, Laura.
She started with me in Whitestone, yes.
And then she was Julian's teacher in the 2nd grade. And she had mentioned about Taekwondo and your school. And then Dominic, same age as Julian at the time, 8 years old, he started, I think, just 1 month before Julian. And then Julian started. And then I think a month later, I brought Mikaela.
Yeah.
That's how I started.
Mm-hmm.
But I never I don't think I ever thought like I was going to say martial arts school with my kids. I was just like, okay, they're in the neighborhood, they came very well recommended. And I just said, let me give it a shot. And
Right.
12 years later.
Right. And your story is kind of similar as well. You found out through someone else.
I did.
You know?
Alexa had told me she wanted to do karate. But okay. But by me, it was all contracts and stuff like that.
Right.
And I was like, One of my friends told me about your school. Do a good opening. I think you were in your mom's basement first.
No, I was actually
Olivia?
teaching classes in the restaurant.
Right. That's what the word was.
Whatever little money I had, I think I bought 12 pieces of mat and I laid them down on Sundays. I moved all the tables aside and I would teach in the restaurant. That's how I started getting students.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she told me, Mr. Joe's opening up a school in Whitestone. It's like, okay, I'll go try. And never left.
Never left, right?
Never left. And I moved and I never left.
Right. So you're not even close to me anymore.
Not anymore, no.
But, and this is something very, very important that I talk about to everyone, especially to your children and to all the students. I tell them all the time that reputation is everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you heard, let's say, something negative, you would have never taken a step into my school. And that's why, I talk about on this podcast how, this is a way of life. My father always told me your reputation is everything. Never have that attitude that you don't care what people think about you. No, it's very important how people perceive you, how people look at you, and what they hear about you. Because let's be real, you would have never walked through my door.
Oh,
right.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
And so now you make that initial start into the school. You as parents, what did you tell your kids? Like, hey, keep going. Because I'm sure there were times they didn't want to come.
Oh, no.
I'm sure there were plenty of times.
Not Alexa.
Not Alexa?
Nope. I actually had to threaten her with not going to class if she was misbehaving. I'm like, you're not going.
Right.
And she behaved.
Right. Wow.
Ryan, on the other hand, different. But Alexa, no, I didn't have to pull her hair. She dragged me.
Right. Even when you didn't want to take it.
Yeah. Because I was there a lot.
I don't think I had really a lot of times to say that the kids didn't want to go. Maybe I'll say Mikaela a little bit more than Julian, only when the last couple of years, only when she hit like teenage years, she started being like a little rebellious, let's just say, or, testy.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, even though when she was giving me a hard time saying, I don't want to go, and I would tell her, for me, it was just like, we're committed to this. This time she was already on the team. I'm like, you're on a team. It's a commitment. It's dedication. I'm like, you need to show up. By the time I picked her up, she's like, oh, I'm so glad I came. So it's, I always knew, I know my child, so I kind of knew better. Like, I know you're just being a teen. Like, I don't want to go, and, being a little bit of defiance in there. But at the end of the day, she was always happy that I'm
okay. Now that you see that, your children, you're not really pulling teeth, with them to come, what benefits did you see as parents in this activity, of Taekwondo, or this way of life, as I put it, because at this point it's become a way of life for them. They've been doing it for so long now. What did you see as parents that benefited your children, even outside of the scope of Taekwondo? I'm talking life in general, in regards of as a parent, because I talk as a parent. You both met me when I wasn't a parent.
Yeah.
You a little bit more. So, there's a change, what we want, because my kids do activities now, and I'm not looking for, the best athlete. I just want a good kid. At the end of the day, I think that should be any parent's goal. What did you want keeping them involved in martial arts?
I liked that, the respect.
Okay.
Like, everything is okay. She never argues with anybody. It's always a respect thing. She respects everyone she's around. And she makes sure she says hello to everybody, like even outside.
The little
Whenever we're
things.
out.
Yeah.
You know, it's everything like that. And, you know, the focus.
Mm-hmm.
She needed it and she got it. And that's just a good human. That's what I want, a good human.
Right.
I think they kind of make fun of me because I always talk about character. And I think that's something that you always talk about also. So they always say, oh, okay, you know, Master Joe, you know, because I always say, you know, have good character.
Master Joe isms.
Yeah. No, but I always feel like, you know, your character goes with you no matter what. And
like your reputation.
It's like your reputation.
Right.
So I always go after them about, you know, being a good person and, you know, and they are very respectful. So they joke because they're like, okay, Master Joe, good character. So I think in going to you for so many years and even my mom had said it like when she first started coming and watching, she picked up on you and she was saying like how you are a good person and how good you are with the kids. And I just think that everything you taught them made a big impact, really. And it is kind of like, you know, like you were saying, like with respect and stuff like that. And I think in the martial arts world, that is a big thing.
Oh, it's
you know,
the most important thing.
Yeah. So I think it came a long way with them.
Yeah. Oh, that's no, for sure. Made total sense because, you know, I talk to people like, I don't know if you put your daughters in dance.
Oh, she cried.
Yeah.
She kicked and screamed and cried. I couldn't get her in the door.
And the one thing I bring up with activities like that, like if I go ahead and I ask Vivi, my daughter, what dance did you do last year? Can you show it to me? She won't remember. But something like the martial arts, it's a life skill. You know, like an activity like swimming. You know, you learn how to swim, it lasts with you for the rest of your life.
Yep.
You know, I see martial arts as a life skill, not just, you know, learning how to defend yourself, but character aspects in the development of a child. It's things that will last for them, you know, forever. Like after 14 years, I still get the yes, sirs and the thank you, sirs. And I get the bows when they see me. And when they hand me something, they hand it to me with two hands and they bow. These are things I don't have to bring up anymore. It's like ingrained in them. It's a life skill. And as parents, it's got to make you feel good that they have these life skills.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice to see. It's nice to see. It's nice to see for me, not only that, I guess myself or my husband teaching them or my parents teaching them, but they have someone else to look up to and someone else who has taught them and outside of family. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been with you for 12 years. So you are family in a way, but you know what I'm saying? But not like blood family who's trying to teach them. So
we all need that because we're all guilty of that. You know, our parents would tell us something and we wouldn't listen.
That's right.
But then what happens? Someone else says it and the light goes off. You know, so we all need that other person, you know, whether it's a coach or a master or a teacher. We all need those individuals in the development of our child because that's at the end of the day, as parents, that's what we want. We want to develop good children on and off the mats. You know, it's just what we want, you know, and the beauty about it is now you have a child that's so immersed in an activity, you don't want to see them quit.
Oh no.
You know, you don't want to see them quit. You know, how as a parent do you say, what do you say to your child, you know, for them not to become a quitter? Because we never want something like that to become habitual, you know, because it's very easy to develop that habit, to quit when things get hard. And there's been many times throughout the years that things have gotten hard for them. You know, what was your approach to that?
Well, Ryan, I can't really talk about Ryan because he went off into another sport and he fell in love with, you know, football. And so he trailed away. Alexa, she's thought about it a couple of times for different reasons. And then she's just like, I'm not. She has goals. She does want to become a master one day, and she doesn't want to, she's like, no. Even when she picked college, she didn't want to go away. She wanted to stay home. She did not want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing to make her not quit, because she never really wanted to quit so bad to make her.
Sure, sure.
Moments here and there, girls.
Of course.
But no, nothing.
That's a nice load off your shoulders. Yeah. Not having to worry about something like that.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing. It really is.
That's all my fault.
Yeah, all your fault.
Is it? For sure.
Yep.
And what about you?
Well, okay, so Julian was hard for me. And it was hard for him. But
for me too.
I know, but he went into boxing. So, but when he did want to change, I kept telling him, you're going to have to talk to Master Joe. I said, I'm not doing it. And
that was important. He came up to me like a man. I remember.
And I told him, and I said, it's not going to be like, oh, you just don't show up to class anymore. And what happened to Julian? I go, it doesn't work that way. And I said, you need to go in there and you explain yourself to Joe, Master Joe, why you're not coming back or whatever. So he went into boxing. He tried that. And then, COVID hit. So poor thing that we're in that.
Well, he always comes around.
He comes around. It's in his blood because a couple of times, he came back for a little bit, but then, with work and college, it kind of got in the way.
Adult life
got in the way, but he keeps saying it. He loves it. He does love it. And he actually says, he goes, I want to coach. Yeah. He does, because he likes it so much. Mikaela now, let me see. How did I get her not to quit? I won't say I had to really talk to her about not quitting. The past year has been a little bit difficult. We know that. For those reasons, with her getting stressed out and realizing, she's at level now, that's hard for her. And she just gets anxious about it. But to say that she wanted to quit, not so much. It was just she got into hard moments, I would say, but did not lead to the feeling of wanting to quit. So, plus I always did tell her, though, I said, I would always go back to the commitment and being on a team and what that means to be on a team. So I think she understands that as well. And in addition, her biggest thing, not disappointing. She says it all the time. I don't want Master Joe to be disappointed. So
yeah.
So.
But as long as, as always, they give their 100% effort, it's impossible for me to be disappointed because life is all about ups and downs.
Yeah.
And we have to be real. Like I said, I don't just take it into context of the martial art or the sport. It's life. I want these kids to be able to overcome the hardships because they haven't seen nothing yet. They really haven't. And it's important to me that they are, because if they're able to overcome, whether it's the hardship of a tough training or the hardship of an extremely high level competition, they could overcome anything in their lives. And as parents, it's important that we keep them on that path because it's going to make our life easier. They're going to be able to handle situations. Like I said, I don't feel they've seen anything yet. I don't feel they've seen the real world yet. And, one day they're gonna be, approached with that difficult situation and they're gonna be like, you know what? I got this. I don't need mommy. I don't need Master Joe. I could do it. And that's what we want for these kids. So after all these years, obviously we've all built friendships. I refer to you guys as much as you refer to me as family. How has this shaped your life, your child's life, your children's lives, in such a positive way to have these bonds through an activity like Taekwondo, like martial arts?
Well, I think that us being together for such a long time and building friendship, the children building friendships, the parents building friendships, they do see this as a family.
Sure.
Mm.
Now, in regard, like, we take this outside of the school as well. I want the audience to understand that both of your children that currently train with me are on my competition team, which means we do leave the school.
Oh, yeah.
We do go away sometimes weeks at a time. How is that important?
Well, it just like this past competition, let's just say.
Yes.
I sent you the picture of Philip and Mikaela. You saw them? So in that picture, there's a picture of Philip and Mikaela. Philip is senior competitor, Mikaela junior competitor, and they were hugging each other. And they were hugging each other and kind of like consoling one another because it was right after Philip's fight. And they understood one another and what they were each feeling because they both kind of went through the same thing. Her the day before and up his fight. So when we go away, and we've been going away, I don't know, since I think my first trip was Detroit. I don't know what that was. But the kids, the way they bond with one another, in the school, outside of the school, on a trip to a competition, whether it's, away Detroit, Salt Lake City, wherever it was that we went to, or even just being at Lisa's house or going to Ryan's birthday party or just a barbecue, they gravitate to one another and they're together and they have a bond because they're all in the same, I want to say situation. In a sense, like they understand what they're all going through because it's not, I don't know. I think martial arts is a little bit different than other sports, I want to say. I don't know why. So I think it's just more of a bonding through understanding.
There's a commonality.
And support of what they give one another. And it is a team, but it's also an individual sport at the same time. So I think it's good the way they support one another that way.
Of course, because you're in the ring by yourself.
Right.
There's always support, obviously, me in the coach's chair. And for the audience to understand, we just came back from Montreal this past weekend at the Canada Open, which was a G2 event, which means it's a very high-rated event. Olympic athletes, world champions were competing at this event. So it is a very high-pressure situation competing at an event like that. So obviously birds of a feather flock together, that old saying,
right.
So they all need to support each other, whether we win or whether we, I like to put it, whether we win or we learn.
Exactly.
I don't like using the word losing, although it is an L, it is a loss. I've said it many times before, but we learn and we learn together as a team, even though we're there individually, and now Miss Lisa, same question to you. And obviously your daughter was probably one of my first kids.
Yes, she was.
To start competing.
Yep.
The first one, because when I first opened, the only ones I let compete were the big guys.
Yep.
Your daughter was the first one I let compete. So
yep, I remember that.
Talk about that bond amongst the other teammates and who she looked up to and how, it shaped her all these years through competition.
When she first realized she wanted to, she thought about it, and you had said, bring her to a tournament.
Yeah, that's right.
And we went to Queens College to watch now Master Chet, Master John, Kevin Kelly, Stelios, all compete. And she was in awe when it was their time because she had to wait around. And she's like, this is what I want to do. And I remember she said that she wants to be the next Karate Kid.
I remember that stuff.
Yep. Still to this day, she has a ritual before her fights just to watch that movie. And not the original Karate Kid, for some reason. The one with, Smith, Jaden Smith. I don't know why.
The movie's horrible.
I know it is, but that's the one when she was little and that's the one she liked. Whatever. But now she's obsessed with Cobra Kai. So anyway. And then she just loved it. And she's been on the team since then.
Right.
And there's been so many teammates. So many. And she still talks to a few of the ones that have gone. And then, it's a cast, but there's still this bond that we have. And we always try to get everyone together. And sometimes we'll go away together. And, even with the kids who have gone and have left, and she still stays in contact with them.
Right.
And she's always wondering about, the other ones too.
Of course.
But we try.
And the bond that your children have with one another, it's encouraging to the younger students. They look up to that. Your children walk into the school and they're different from everyone else. I hear the whispers of the little kids.
He's coming in.
It's the truth.
Because the picture's on the wall, right? Everyone's on the wall.
Exactly.
Mr. Mikaela.
Yeah, they see the national championship pictures on the wall. Their parents do show them my social media, which anybody could look at the end of the day because it's all positive. It's all great stuff. And the parents do show them. And your children now, like your daughter walked into the school and looked at those guys like rock stars.
Yes.
Oh
my God, yes.
Like they were like, oh my God. Now children do that to your kids. They look at them and they're like, wow. Now on Saturdays, I let the kids train with them. Why? Because they're paying it forward.
Yeah.
Now I want them to work with the little kids the same way Master Chad or Master John worked with Alexa, worked with Mikaela. So now it's the opposite. And these kids, they can't wait. I had a little boy ask me the other day, when do I get to spar with Alexa? I was like, I looked at him, I was like, you sure you want that? You sure you want that?
That's
Another little kid was like, Mikaela is very fast. I go, well, you got to be faster than her. Yes, sir. So it's beautiful for me to see this transition, because that's what's going to keep the team going for the future. That it's just a beautiful cycle. And now let's talk about high level competition and the pressures of you as parents going through these waves, the wins, the highs, and the lows. Miss Lisa, talk to me about that.
Oh gosh, we've been through so many.
Right.
So many. It's emotional. No matter what, I've been doing it a long time. I've sat ringside so long watching it. No matter what it is, I get emotional. I get nervous.
Right. Still after all these years.
Yeah, after all, it doesn't matter. I still get nervous. Butterflies in my stomach, the whole 9 yards. I can't do this. I sit with her. I'm like holding her.
Two of us. It's hysterical. It's hysterical when Alexa's fighting the way she is, and I'm like, I got you. It's okay. And then when Mikaela's fighting, I'm like,
it's okay. It's okay.
So yeah, we both go through the same thing.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
And it's still all these.
Because they do that to each other.
Yeah.
Before the fights. They think I don't notice. I see the hugs. I see the caressing, you got this, the motivational things that everyone says to each other. That's great. So you do it in the stands too.
We do. It's crazy, but we do.
Yeah. And how do you deal with that? Like I said, now let's talk about the lows. Let's talk about the low points. When
I used to get upset.
Yeah.
I used to get upset. I used to be like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? It's easier said than done, obviously. And then I'm like, you know what? Putting too much pressure on her. I could see it on her face. I could see her attitude change when I'm mad. So I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. It's not my place. Really. It's really not my place to say what you did wrong. That's the coach's job. So I step back and I'm just like, okay, listen. Now she's older. She's been doing it so long. So like this, what did you do wrong? And she was very upset with herself because she knew she could have done so much better.
Right.
She knew what she did wrong. And she's like, okay, I got it next.
That's so important what you just said. And I really hope parents really listen to what you just said, because sometimes parents don't understand the pressures they put on a child when you start playing coach.
Yeah.
You know, and this is something, my son plays soccer, and I tell my wife all the time, leave the coaching to the coach. Oh, but you played soccer and I'm not his coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not his coach. I say it all the time. That's the coach's job. When you put too much pressure on a child, they're not going to react properly. And that's what's going to drive them to quit one day. And I've seen it so many times. And you guys have seen it so many times throughout the years. When you see a very good competitor in my school, all of a sudden, they're not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the cause of it. A lot of times parents don't get it. I know we all want our children to win, but they have to understand to lose as well. And they have to understand that it's okay to lose.
Yeah.
You know, that's life. It's life outside of the ring. It's so important. You know, how do you deal with Miss Viviana? How do you deal with the highs and the lows of the sport?
Well, I try not to coach because I don't know how to coach. So I stay out of it. My only advice to her usually is that what I like to say, I just don't want her to give up. I say fight to the end. And I tell her all the time, I don't care if she wins. I really, really, really don't. I know the pressure that she's under. I could never go in the ring and face an opponent and know that, you know, we have to start fighting. I can't do that. So I don't know how she does it. So I know it's stressful on her already. I try to stay back. I mean, her dad and Julian are usually chattering in her ear. So I'm like, I think that's enough. But yeah, I mean, the highs, I always, you know, tell her, you know, how proud I am of her, and you know that you know, she did it, she worked hard for it. And the lows are just, you know, I just try to console her whenever there is a low point. And I try to talk to her, and you know, I tell her a lot of things are in her head. We know that, you know, she's like, same thing, Alexa and other competitors, they get themselves, you know, stuck in their head, and that's what comes a bit of a downfall in the ring. So I just try to help her go through that and, you know, see where she can feel a little bit more at ease when she goes in and not so tense.
No, for sure. You know, because you probably didn't have these issues when they were small competing, because
no, to her it was, you know, you remember Mikaela? Mikaela was like a firecracker,
a kicking machine, because
It was
when they're young, it's all physicality, which they have. You know, we train hard in the school. I still train somewhat, you know, old school methods with them, minus the bamboo stick. You know, I'm tough on them in that sense. So when they were small, the mental aspect wasn't really there. It was just, to be honest with you, you could have put a, I don't know, a mannequin in the coach's chair. They would have won. Because they weren't listening to me. They were just going out there kicking. Rock'em sock'em robots. They were just out there, pop, 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 just going.
She would go in the ring. She had no fear. She didn't care.
That was Ryan.
Yeah, the two of them. You know, Ryan and Mikaela were like this big. Their opponent would be this big, and they wouldn't care. It was just like, boom. Now it's like,
right? You know, but now when competition, the level gets higher, it's the flip side. It's the mental aspect of the sport. So as parents, because I always include myself too, because I say this to everyone, I'm a parent first. I used to be Master Joe first. Now I'm always a parent first. As a parent, we have to give our child that support system. It's so important, because mentally it's gonna, number one, make them feel better when they step inside, that they know they have support, that there are people there for them. But it gets hard. It gets difficult, you know. But all these things that we say and all these things that we do, definitely will keep them, you know, involved in the sport. Will definitely keep them from quitting, you know, which is a good thing, you know, because it's going to shape them. It's going to shape them for their lives, you know. It's so incredibly important. Now, super important for a parent that is interested in starting their kid in an activity like martial arts or Taekwondo. What would you give them as a sense of encouragement? Why, as parents who have had their children involved in the art for so long, as a parent, what would you tell a parent who's, questioning, oh, should I send my kid to Taekwondo? Should I not? What would you tell them to encourage them to take up an activity like martial arts? Miss Viviana.
Well, martial arts, in my opinion, and I think it's kind of true, has a high level of respect. Number one. So I think with the respect level that martial arts brings, the discipline that it brings, I don't think you can go wrong in that. When I first started with Mikaela, let's just say, and she was 4, my mother was against it because she thought it was more, it would be too violent for her as a little 4-year-old girl.
Thank God she doesn't come to the competition.
But it was the opposite. It really was the opposite. I told my mother, I said, "Or it's going to be okay." Like my mother's like, "Oh, she's going to be violent." And I'm like, "No, that's not the way it works." So it just, if they're looking for, to have their children in the best physical shape ever, there you go. The training is phenomenal. And also, as far as character building, it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
So I would encourage it. I absolutely would. I don't know any other form of martial arts really besides Taekwondo, because that's where I've been for 12 years. But for me, I have nothing bad to say about why not to be part of the martial arts world.
It's got to be that teacher, that guy, he must be pretty good. Give myself a little pat on the back for that one. Miss Lisa.
Oh, she nailed it.
Yeah.
She nailed it. Yeah, you nailed it. No, it was. It was. It's perfect. Because I don't know. It was just a perfect answer. So I really don't know how to piggyback off that one. But no, it's the right way to go. I don't know.
Yeah. I have nothing negative to say about being with you for the past 12 years. I really don't. I think my children gained a lot, physically, mentally, emotionally being there, like when we're talking about the bonds that they build and that stuff. It's just great.
So all really, really good stuff on tonight's episode. And I really, really hope the parents are taking everything you are both saying to heart, because it's coming from the heart, which is a beautiful thing. Like we talk about family, we talk about the bond that we've created. Now, to a parent watching this episode, what goes into, besides the word of mouth, besides the referral aspect, what goes into a parent choosing the right school, the right place for their child, like the New York Black Belt Center? What goes into that, Miss Lisa?
I would think definitely, you go for, I believe, a trial.
Yeah.
And then, you go there.
I don't sign up anyone unless they try a class. I don't care who they are.
Like, I'm around it a long time. I've seen lots of schools. I know of lots of schools. I've talked to other parents from schools, and I hear what goes on, and I wouldn't go anywhere else. It just wouldn't happen. I see a lot of turnover at certain schools.
Right. Right.
It doesn't really happen at our school. 12 years. You're 12 years and 14 years.
Going on 15.
Yeah, going on 15.
Going on 15.
I moved out to Long Island, and my daughter still comes in 3 nights a week on Saturdays or more, whatever. And it just wouldn't go. We have Taekwondo schools all over the place.
Oh, of course. You probably passed 10 or 15 of them before you go to stop at my door.
No, it's just home. That's what it is. It's home. there forever, and it's very homey.
Right.
I guess, you know, I used to be there 5 days a week,
Right.
you know.
Well,
Used to joke about putting a bed downstairs for me
right.
because the kids were in different classes, and then finally, but it's home.
You said a very important word, home, and home is where the heart is.
Yeah.
And that's where, obviously that's where we feel comfortable.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we feel at home. But it's the small things. It's the small things, whether it's the instruction, whether it's the people there, whether it's everyone having the same common goals. I'm happy that there is no animosities on my mat. And if it ever is, it gets fixed.
Nipped in the butt.
It gets nipped in the butt right away. And it's easy to do it in a sense because you have one chief and lots of Indians, so to say. I'm there running the show, and with that all being said, Miss Viviana, like, are these things that you would tell a parent, like, look for a place that has that? Or
well, I think you said it with comfortability. I think that's key, and for me, that was one of the reasons why I stayed. I was very comfortable with you as an instructor to my children, as the master to my children. Like my mom felt it as well. Like she felt something special. She knew you were good with children. And as long as you could feel, like if you feel that, I think there's no reason to look anywhere else. I think that's where it starts. As you, as the instructor, as the master, as owner of the school, you have to be comfortable with that person. And are the children comfortable there? And my children were very comfortable there. They were very happy there. It was a very pleasant environment. So I think those are the things you have to look for.
Yeah.
Something that you sense yourself.
It's a feeling. And this is why my father always taught me when I first opened the school in Whitestone. The biggest advice he gave me, and it sticks with me to this day, every day I turn the key. Yes, I'm there, like all of us who have families. We're running a business. We're there to provide for our families. But my father always told me, put your love for what you do before the dollar, and the dollar's going to follow by itself. Almost 15 years of, opening the doors that way, and we keep it consistent, like the training, like the work ethic, like the life lessons. We build a sense of consistency, and that consistency is going to lead to growth. Me as a teacher, you as parents, them as students, growing up as adults now. It really blows my mind how quick.
Crazy.
How quick time flies. I always talk to you about a picture I see. When I go to my mother-in-law's house, I walk down those steps sometimes. Like, everyone will be upstairs, and I will walk down those steps because there is a picture at my wedding, all the kids in front of the church. And I'm like, your daughter's right in the front. I see you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They've grown up with me.
She was 4.
Oh.
She was 16.
20.
Crazy.
Oh. Well, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And it really talks about the essence of what this podcast is about. It's a way of life. So what your children are learning, and this I think is important for any parent, because this episode is dedicated to the parents. This way of life for, I feel, any child that is in the right environment, the right school. These are life lessons that are going to last with them forever. That black belt is going to go with them forever. And not only as a master, as a parent, I see it. And it's just a beautiful thing. There's no other way to put it. That's how I feel. So imparting, any final words, Miss Viviana?
I don't know, but can I circle back something?
Please.
When you were about the friendships and everything, I just wanted to mention, I don't know, just so because it is about want the parents to know about the kids' friendship and bonds. I think it's kind of important to mention how Alexa had Ayla, Nicholas, Emily in her course.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know what I'm saying?
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16, and Mikaela as well, and the candles. It just goes to show, that it's not just they're training and they're going home.
No.
They've built even let's take Emily, who's no longer there. But the bond and the friendship that they build, it's still strong.
Yes.
So it's nice.
And it started with Taekwondo.
It started with Taekwondo, and it's funny because she's like, I don't even know how we became friends, but it's at Taekwondo. So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of important to mention.
It's fantastic. I've been to both of your daughter's Sweet 16s, and I've lit candles at both of your boys' Sweet 16s.
Yeah. So it develop a nice bond.
Yeah.
You do. And even with watching Mikaela, right? And when she with her black belt test, and she gave the speech, and
Alexa.
It got me so
Alexa's
emotional.
my big sister.
I just got very emotional, and even when I watch her fight, I get emotional. And then when you watch Alexa fight, it's an emotional thing because we have that bond.
I cry with her. When Alexa wins, I cry with her.
Same.
If Alexa, doesn't win her match, I cry with her. It's we,
Same thing. Mikaela, I cry. I just look at her. I see the face. She makes this one face, and I'm like, oh, I'm dead. I'm done.
I do too, but I'll never show.
You just
Believe me, I do too.
It is.
You just get to build a bond.
Yeah, because after all these years, I talk to your children, to be very honest, as if they're my children. I give them the same advice, my father would give me, or I would give my own children. They've been with me so long, why wouldn't I? So really, really great stuff tonight. Ladies, thank you so much for being here on this very, very special episode of A Black Belt Way of Life. Thank you so much.
No problem. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
In parting, thank you for everyone for tuning in to tonight's episode. Make sure to check us out on all our social media platforms and wherever you consume podcasts. Give us a like, shoot us a comment, subscribe, and check us out. To our sponsor, Mr. Joe Ferrone of Weichert Realty, for all your residential and commercial needs. Check out his information on the show notes. To our apparel company, Best Martial Arts Muto USA, to all my martial arts school friends, support, check him out. Till next time, remember what my father always said: a black belt is worn around your heart, never your waist. A Black Belt Way of Life was produced by Press Record Studios.